All right. So today we're tackling something that
Oh, God.
that's not exactly light reading, TikTok's European privacy policy.
Yeah.
The one that kicks in on December 4th, 2024.
Mm.
But stick with us because this deep dive might just reveal more than you ever wanted to know about how TikTok handles your data in Europe.
Well, it's true. These policies, they often do kind of bury these little nuggets.
Oh, yeah.
Of fascinating details.
Yeah.
And right away, there's something interesting here about who's actually in control of your data.
Okay.
It's not just one company.
Mm.
It's two.
Two companies.
Yeah.
So they're like
TikTok Technology Limited
okay.
in Ireland
Mm-hmm.
and TikTok Information Technologies UK Limited.
Oh, so they're doing like a privacy duet.
Yeah, two-pronged approach.
Is this a common thing?
It's becoming more and more common, especially for global companies who are trying to operate in Europe.
Right.
Each region has its own set of regulations. So having these separate companies can streamline compliance.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But two companies controlling my data,
Mm-hmm.
that does kind of make you wonder what they're actually doing with it.
Well, one thing that is worth noting is the policy outlines three main ways that they gather information. First, the information that you provide directly.
Okay.
Like when you create your account
Wow.
or when you post a video.
Right, so all the obvious stuff.
Exactly. The usual suspects.
Like my name, birth date,
Right, all the comments you leave on those cat videos at 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's the information that's collected automatically.
Oh, okay.
And this is where things get a little
creepy.
well, a little more interesting, let's say.
Interesting. I think.
Because even if you're not actively, posting or commenting,
Right.
TikTok is gathering details in the background.
So let's get into the details. What kind of background information are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking about things like your device model,
Okay.
your IP address, and even get this, your keystroke patterns.
Keystroke patterns. Like how fast I type.
It could be that. Or, how often you hit the backspace.
Okay.
Think about it. They could potentially be analyzing that
Okay.
to try and identify your emotional state.
Oh, wow.
Or even like your typing style. Add another layer to their user profile.
Yeah, that is a little unsettling.
It is.
I mean, it's like they're reading between the lines of our typing. Okay, so what else are they collecting automatically?
The location data is another big one, even if it's approximate.
Sure.
And of course, usage data.
Okay.
How you interact with content, how you interact with ads, what you watch, what you skip.
Yeah. Okay.
All of that goes into creating that super personalized for you feed experience.
Oh, so it's not just random videos after all.
Not at all.
It's a very calculated mix based on what they think they know about us.
Right.
Now, what about this whole thing with analyzing like content characteristics of the videos that we post?
Yeah, this really stood out to me because they're not just like seeing what you post.
Right.
They're trying to like understand it.
Okay.
They're using all this technology to identify objects.
Okay.
Scenery.
Okay.
Even faces and body parts.
Wow.
They can analyze the text of spoken words.
So they're not just seeing me walking my dog.
Right.
They're seeing, I don't know, a golden retriever.
Yeah, they could even be recognizing your face.
Yeah, and maybe transcribing what I'm saying to my dog.
Potentially. They claim that it's primarily for content moderation and for features like special effects and captions.
Okay.
But it does kind of make you wonder about how this information could be used.
Yeah, down the line.
In the future, yeah.
It raises a lot of questions about where the line is. Okay, so we've talked about the stuff we hand over.
Right.
And the stuff they collect automatically.
Right.
What about information from other sources? Is TikTok getting data about us from outside the app itself?
Yeah, this is where the web of data really gets
Tangled.
Exactly. So they receive information about you from other platforms like advertising and measurement partners.
Okay.
So you know how you were looking at those noise-canceling headphones online?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Well, TikTok could know about that.
Okay, so my online shopping habits are not so private.
Not necessarily. They're basically connecting your activity across different platforms to build a more complete profile of your interests.
Right, of course.
And it goes beyond just ads. When you make a purchase through TikTok shopping features, they get data from sellers and payment providers too.
It's like all the walls are breaking down between these different platforms.
Yeah, the lines are definitely getting blurry.
And then there's connecting your TikTok account to other platforms.
Right. Right, like logging in with Facebook?
Exactly. And then those platforms share your profile information with TikTok.
Oh, wow.
Just another piece of the puzzle.
It's, I don't know, it makes you think twice about how much of our online activity is actually being tracked and analyzed and shared. This is not just about, funny dance videos anymore, is it?
It's definitely bigger than that.
Yeah.
It really highlights how important it is to be aware of how our data is being used and shared across all these different platforms.
Yeah.
Because without realizing it, they're building a really detailed picture of everything we do online.
So we've established that they're gathering all this information.
Yes.
But the question is, how are they actually using it?
Right.
The policy mentions a whole bunch of ways, right?
It does.
Like, what are the main things?
Well, there's the core functionality of the platform, of course.
Okay. Running the app, letting you create and share content, providing customer support.
Right, the basics.
The basics, yeah.
But it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A big one is personalization.
Okay.
That's how they tailor your experience,
Right.
curate your For You feed, suggest accounts to follow.
So they're trying to predict what will make us tick.
Exactly.
Or I guess in this case, TikTok.
Yeah, it's all about the algorithm,
Right.
trying to figure out what's going to keep you engaged and scrolling.
Yeah.
And then there's safety and security.
Okay.
They use the data to moderate content,
Right.
combat abuse and fraud, ensure the platform is stable,
Right.
overall stability.
Okay, those seem like legitimate reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you need to do those things.
Right.
And then, of course, advertising,
Yes, of course.
providing and improving those ad services.
Right, so those personalized ads,
Yep,
that seem to know exactly what I'm thinking,
that's right.
even before I do.
Based on everything they've learned about you,
Right.
they also generate analytics reports for partners and creators
Okay.
to help them understand how content and ads are performing.
So they can see what's working.
Exactly.
And it's not.
Exactly. And they even mention using data for research purposes,
Oh, really?
potentially sharing info with independent researchers under certain criteria, of course.
So my TikToks could be contributing to, like, scientific breakthroughs.
Who knows? Maybe.
Wow.
And last but not least, there's marketing,
Okay.
promoting the platform,
Right.
promoting third-party services,
Right.
that kind of thing.
So it seems like they've got a finger in a lot of different pies.
Yeah, they're pretty busy.
Now, this legitimate interests thing,
Yeah.
they keep using that phrase
Yeah.
as justification for processing our data.
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually mean?
It essentially means that they believe their data processing
Right.
is necessary for their business operations and that it doesn't unfairly infringe on users' rights.
But necessary is a pretty broad term, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder how
Yeah.
much their interpretation
Yeah.
aligns with what users would consider fair.
Right. Because necessary can be pretty subjective.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a gray area.
Speaking of gray areas, what about sharing our data?
Right.
The policy is pretty upfront about sharing data with all these different parties, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Okay, so what are some of the parties involved?
Well, they explicitly say they share data with service providers.
Okay.
The companies that help them run the platform.
Okay.
Things like hosting, content delivery, analytics, customer support.
Okay, so like the behind-the-scenes stuff
Exactly.
to keep TikTok running.
Right. All the essential functions.
So they're sharing data with the companies that basically keep the lights on at TikTok.
Right. Yeah. The ones who make sure everything runs smoothly.
But I'm guessing that's not the whole story, right?
Yeah. You're right. It's not.
Okay.
They also share data with partners,
Okay.
specifically third-party platforms that integrate with TikTok.
Okay, so like what?
Well, think about when you log in with your Facebook account.
Right. Right.
So to use those handy features,
yeah,
some data has to be exchanged.
makes sense.
Now, what about advertisers?
Oh yeah, are they getting all our personal info?
Well, TikTok says they only give advertisers reports about ad performance. They don't share your contact details unless you specifically give them permission.
So advertisers know how their ads are doing,
Right.
but they're not getting my name and email address.
Not unless you say it's okay.
Okay, good to know.
Now, what about those companies that help them track whether those ads are actually working?
Oh yeah, right.
They're called measurement and data partners.
Okay.
And yes, those partners do receive some data.
It all goes back to that personalization thing, right?
It does. The more they know about you,
Yeah.
the better they can target those ads.
Okay, so when I buy something through TikTok shopping features,
Right.
Who gets that info?
They're very clear about that.
Yeah.
They share purchase information with the sellers and any service providers involved in processing the transaction.
Okay, so that makes sense.
To get your stuff delivered.
Right, exactly.
Now, there's also some data sharing within the TikTok corporate group.
Okay, so it's not just those two main companies we talked about.
No, not just those two.
It's a whole family affair.
It is a whole network of data sharing.
Right.
Which brings up another point. Where's all this data actually going?
Yeah, it's not just sitting on a server in some random basement, right?
Not necessarily.
So where is it?
Well, the policy says they store information on servers in the United States, Malaysia, and Singapore.
So our data could be going on like a world tour.
It could be, yeah.
It's not just about where it's stored, is it?
No, it's not just about location.
Okay.
They also mention that certain entities within their corporate group located outside of a user's country of residence have limited remote access to this information.
Wait, so someone on the other side of the world could be looking at my data?
Potentially, yes.
I mean, what's stopping them from doing whatever they want with it?
That's where data protection comes in.
Okay.
The policy emphasizes that when they transfer data outside of the European Economic Area, the UK or Switzerland, they ensure it's subject to an adequate level of data protection.
Okay, and how do they do that?
Through something called adequacy decisions.
Adequacy decisions.
Yeah.
That sounds very official.
It is. It's basically,
What does that mean?
It's the EU giving a thumbs up to another country's data laws.
Okay.
So the European Commission, they evaluate these other countries, determine if their data protection laws meet the EU standards.
So if my data goes to a country with one of these adequacy decisions, I can feel okay about it.
In theory, yes.
Okay.
It should be handled responsibly.
But not every country where TikTok operates has one of these decisions, right?
That's right. Not every country.
So what happens in those cases?
Well, when there's no adequacy decision, they rely on other legal mechanisms.
Like what?
Things like standard contractual clauses.
Standard contractual clauses?
Yeah.
What are those?
Basically, pre-approved contract terms created by the European Commission to ensure adequate data protection when information's transferred to countries outside the EU.
So it's like a backup plan.
Exactly, a safety net.
To make sure my data is protected.
Right.
Even if it goes to a country with different laws.
Yeah, a way to bridge the gap.
In data protection laws.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, I'm curious about something else.
Okay.
We know TikTok has a lot of young users.
Oh, yeah. Tons of teenagers.
So does the policy address how they handle data from children?
That's a good question.
It does. It does. Yeah. There's a whole section dedicated to younger users.
Okay, and what does it say?
Well, they're very clear that users have to be at least 13 years old.
Okay, 13.
To use the platform. And they mention that they offer age-appropriate experiences for users under 18 with certain features not available to that age group.
So they're taking some extra steps to protect kids.
They are, yeah.
Okay.
And they even go a step further by providing resources for parents and guardians.
Oh, that's great.
They have a guardian's guide that offers info and tools to help parents understand the platform and the controls available to them.
So parents can actually see what their kids are doing?
To some extent, yes.
Okay, that's good.
It's important for parents to be aware of what their kids are up to online.
Absolutely.
Now, this brings up another interesting point.
Okay.
Privacy policies, they're not static.
Right.
They're constantly changing.
So what happens when TikTok updates their policy?
Good question.
Do they just sneak it in?
No, they do address this. They say they may amend or update the policy from time to time.
Okay.
And they promise to notify users of any material changes.
Through what? Email?
A notice on the platform.
Oh.
Or by other means.
Okay, so we'll get a heads up.
You should, yeah.
But honestly, going through these policies line by line can be a headache.
It can be, yeah.
Can we actually contact TikTok directly?
Yes, you can. If you have questions or concerns, they provide contact info in the policy.
Great.
Including the email address for their data protection officer.
Okay.
They even list postal addresses for their offices in Ireland and the UK.
So if I have a burning privacy question, I can go straight to the source.
You can.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
About data collection, data use, international data transfers.
That's a lot to take in.
But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't really explored yet. What rights and choices do we actually have as users? I mean, it feels like we've been talking about how much control TikTok has over all this data.
Yeah.
But do we actually have any say in all of this?
We do.
Yeah. Okay, good.
The policy actually does address our rights and choices as users.
Okay, so what kind of rights are we talking about here?
Well, first and foremost, you have the right to access your information.
Okay.
The information they hold about you.
So I can actually see what TikTok knows about me?
Yes, you can.
Is it like this big file?
Well, they have a download your data tool
Okay.
right in the app.
Oh, so it's pretty easy.
It is, yeah.
And then I can go through and see everything.
All your TikTok secrets.
Wow.
And it goes beyond just seeing it.
Okay.
You can also request deletion.
Wait, I can tell TikTok to delete my info?
You can, yes.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, you have a few options.
Okay.
Right in the app.
Okay.
You can delete individual things you've posted.
Okay.
Or even your whole account.
So if I'm done with TikTok, I can make sure they wipe everything?
You can.
My videos, my comments, everything.
Everything.
Okay, that's good to know.
You can also request deletion of specific content.
Okay.
Using their reporting feature.
So like if there's an embarrassing video from like 5 years ago,
Right, exactly.
I can try and get rid of it.
You can.
Okay, good.
Now, what if some of the info they have is wrong?
Oh yeah, can I correct it?
You definitely have the right to rectification.
Okay.
You can change or correct a lot of your info
Yeah.
directly through the app settings.
Like what kind of stuff?
Things like your account details.
Okay.
Video descriptions.
Okay, so like a typo in my bio.
Yeah, exactly.
I can fix that.
You can.
Good, good.
Now, have you heard of data portability?
I have, but I don't really know what it means.
Basically, it's the right to receive your information
Okay.
in a format that you can easily share with another service.
So like taking my data from TikTok and moving it to a different app.
Yeah, think of it like packing up your data
Okay.
in a little suitcase
Okay.
that you can take with you.
Okay.
They even have a data portability API.
Okay, now that sounds complicated.
It's actually, to make things easier,
Okay.
allows for direct transfers between
I
systems.
don't have to like copy and paste everything manually.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is.
So it gives users more control over their information.
Definitely.
Okay, what about these legitimate interests?
Right.
Can I object to that?
You can, yes.
Okay, so if I'm not okay with how they're using my data, I can actually say something.
You can.
Okay, how do I do that?
You can submit an objection
Okay.
explaining your concerns.
Okay.
They have to review it. And they have to stop processing your data
Okay.
unless they have compelling reasons to continue.
So it's not just a hopeless situation.
No, not at all.
I actually have some power.
You do.
What about hitting pause on how they use my data?
You can request to restrict the processing of your data
Okay.
in certain situations.
Okay, like what?
Well, if you're challenging the accuracy of the information they hold,
So
or if you think the processing is unlawful.
it's like putting things on hold
Exactly.
while we figure things out. Okay, so how do I actually go about exercising all these rights?
Well, TikTok encourages users to contact them
Okay.
through a web form
Okay.
provided in the policy.
Okay.
They might ask for some extra info
Okay, like what?
to verify your identity
Right.
and understand your request
Okay.
before taking action.
So there's a process.
There is.
But what if I go through all that and I'm still not happy with their response?
Well, they encourage you to reach out directly to try and resolve things.
Okay.
But you also have the right to lodge a complaint
Okay, with who?
with a supervisory authority.
Okay, so I can escalate things.
You can contact the Irish Data Protection Commission, which is TikTok's lead supervisory authority in Europe.
Okay.
Or you can contact your local data protection authority.
Okay, so there are options
There are.
if I feel like TikTok isn't listening.
Right.
But honestly, for most people,
Yeah,
the easiest way to manage all this is probably through the app settings.
absolutely.
Right.
Taking the time to really understand
Okay.
and configure your privacy settings
Yeah.
within the app.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best ways to control your data.
Okay.
TikTok does offer granular controls, okay, over who can see your content,
Okay.
how it's shared, how they use your info for things like personalized ads.
So the power's in our hands to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yes.
It's up to us to decide what we're comfortable sharing
Right.
and how much control we want to keep over our data.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's really the takeaway here. Transparency is so important. These privacy policies, they are long and complicated, but they do give us valuable info about how our data is collected, used, and shared.
So it's up to us to read them, understand them, and make informed choices about our privacy online.
Exactly.
Well said. And here's a final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
If a service is free, are you the product?
That's a good one.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into TikTok's European privacy policy.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.